Hey YouTube, what is up? With the YCS in Denver wrapping up and a ban list being dropped 2 weeks prior to that, I can't think of any two events that better define a meta than those two, and they pretty much happened almost concurrently. So I think it's pretty appropriate to talk about the current state of this format, how I think it's going to evolve before Maximum Crisis drops, and what I think the top 5 decks are. I say before Maximum Crisis too because Maximum Crisis is going to drop and it's going to pretty much shake everything up, so I can't actively predict how the changes are going to unfold and how it's going to affect the TCG, because the TCG is a little different than the OCG. There's a little bit more nuance in how this thing works out, so I don't want to give you some crazy assumptions just based off of looking at Japan, because I feel like this time around my assumptions might not be accurate if I'm just going off of what happened in Japan, especially because of the fact that we have Zoodiac in a semi-limited state right now. So with that being said, here's my top 5 decks for this current format before we hit Maximum Crisis. My 5th place deck is Dinosaurs. Now, I know a lot of people don't think this deck is going to be that great without True Kings, but I really do think it's going to shake things up. One, because it's a structured deck, it's very easy to get, it's cheap. All you need to do is pretty much pick up Logia and Dolka, and you have the full deck. They're getting a new monster in the form of a fucking big boss that's ridiculous. Ultimate Conductor Tyranno is fucking crazy as a boss monster. It's a one-of, but it allows you to do so much in the damn deck. And it's actually a really consistent deck. It might not be crazy powerful, but it can consistently get to the plays that it needs to and set up a hard negate or two for you in the process. So that's why I'm throwing it my number 5 spot. I really do think the deck's going to evolve and become stronger once Maximum Crisis comes out because of the advent that is the True Kings, but for now, I think a number 5 spot is pretty appropriate. My 4th place deck is a deck that not a lot of people talk about, but Wind Witch Artifact Invoked. That deck is actually very dangerous. It's not doing a ton right now, but the deck is actually very consistent in the fact that all you need to do is open up the field spell and you get an entire fusion monster on your side of the field, because the field spell searches out Alistair and Alistair searches out your Poly, and you could even search the field spell terraforming, so you run a pretty much like 6 to 10 copies of the fucking card just because of how easy it is to get to. I really do think the deck is pretty potent. The fact that you can fuse with your opponent's cards is dangerous. If you leave a Rat Pierre in the graveyard and it gets banished, your deck is pretty much dead if you play Zoodiacs, now that Rat is at 2. And the fact that they can main deck the Artifact Engine without it affecting them in any way, shape, or form is pretty crazy. They pretty much run 6 D barriers, and that's enough to stall almost any deck in this format out to non-existence, to not even let you have one play. So I really do think the deck is pretty dangerous, and the fact that you can make an unbeatable Crystal Wing on the same turn that you also bring out a monster that's a hard negate for pretty much fucking every card in the game, as long as you have a matching type in your hand like a Spell Trap or Monster, is ridiculous. I really do think the deck is very strong, and I think it has a lot of potential. I just think that the format has kind of almost outpaced it. I think decks go way too fast, and if this deck doesn't go first, it has a really rough turn too, and that's why I think it's not topping as much as other decks are. And on to my number 3 spot, I think that Zoodiac really is the 3rd best deck in the format, despite the fact that it got 2nd place at the recent YCS and the fact that there's a lot of them being played at the YCS in Denver. I really do think it's in the solid 3rd place for the format right now. Rat to 2 really does hurt. Yes, you can do your combos with Norden and go metaphorically like +5 or +7 card advantage. There's some even crazier combo where I think you can go technically card advantage wise +11 if you open up the Predator Plants and Instant Fusion or Brilliant Fusion. It's just really absolutely crazy what the deck can do, but for now, Zoodiacs are pretty much just a draw engine. They really lack the power to OTK. The fact that Interrupted Kaiju Slumber got hit, it allows them to not wipe the field as much, and the fact that you can't use it to OTK as easily really does hurt the deck. Pure Zoodiacs is what I played regardless, but I really do feel the pinch. Like, the deck is a ton slower, and if you get interrupted once, your turn's pretty much over. You used to be able to bounce back a little bit with Rat being at 3, but for now, there really is just nothing to do with Zoodiacs besides draw into a ton of back row and kind of hope from there. So I really do think Zoodiac is a good deck, and once Maximum Crisis comes out, it'll probably be the best deck again. But for now, I really do think it's just a super good draw engine that allows you to draw into a ton of back row to help kind of protect your kind of weak board now, because we don't have the ability to open as crazy, and if we're interrupted, we're pretty much dead. My number 2 spot currently goes to Paleo, and now I know a lot of people are going to give me grief for this, saying Paleo is the best deck in the format, and don't get me wrong, Paleo is great, but I really do think that it is a solid 2nd place for a couple of reasons. Paleo is a very rough deck to pilot. Not everybody can really ride it to success like many good pilots of the deck have. The deck takes a lot of thinking. It's a very back row intensive deck, so it's a lot of waiting and being patient with your resources. If you're not careful, you can literally just dwindle away your resources and cost yourself the game, unless you like top deck. Playing a Paleo guy, by the way, this actually did happen to me. Unless you top deck Desires into something like fucking Cards of Demise, which is ridiculous for me to have happened twice in one duel. But either way, you can't get some crazy shit like that all the time. You really do need to be careful with your resources. And they did just get Imperial Order, so the deck is actually stronger than it's ever been. I can't believe the ban list actually made the second top deck in the format even better. It's something that rarely happens, but either way, Imperial Order does definitely give the deck a bump, but I guess it can hurt it as well because it's the 60 card variants at least play, you know, lawn mowing, they play Desires, they play Demise, so it's really interesting to see. The deck is almost like a double-edged sword where you can play a lot of floodgates, but you don't want to lock yourself out either at the same time. Plus, Denko Sekka is being sided like a motherfucker, and I really do think that there's not a ton of answers to Denko Sekka in the Paleo deck, so I really feel like the deck was great, and then a lot of people realized that people were going to bring the deck back. Once they started siding for it, the deck kind of fell back to a number 2 position. And now onto my number 1 spot. I really do feel like Infernoids with Grass is Greener is the best deck in the format currently. I do think that the deck has a ton of power, and when it goes off, you pretty much can't win unless you actually have some like DD ground set, or if you have something that literally gets rid of all the monsters in the graveyard, Macrocosmos. Unless you can actually stop them from, you know, activating the Grass is Greener, unless you can actually stop their monsters from coming out of the graveyard, you're pretty much screwed. I mean, yeah, Necro Valley now has like an errata, which makes it amazing, and it does affect Infernoids, but still, I really do feel like the Infernoid deck in the current format is probably the best deck. Future Fusion coming off the list is ridiculous for them. I can't believe that the guy didn't know what Future Fusion did and just let it rock for like 2 or 3 turns. That's still absolutely insane to me. I was watching that, I had my hand on my head the whole time. You don't let Future Fusion rock in Infernoids. It's like literally Foolish Burial times 5. I don't understand what that guy was thinking. But either way, Infernoids really are very strong. The Grass is Greener just makes the deck so explosive, it's not even funny. And the fact that they can main deck 3 Fairy Tale Snow and then 1 of every jank fucking spice card as a tech just in case is ridiculous. Electromagnetic Turtle, Power Cerberus, just all that kind of nonsense allows the deck to be pretty much ridiculous if it goes off. If they get the 20 mils that they need off of you, you're pretty much fucked. So I really do think Infernoids is the best deck in the format, just because of how explosive the deck can be. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and I will gladly reply to them. If you liked the video, don't forget to click subscribe, because it's free, it's fun, and I'll see you guys in the next one.